Hello and welcome to the third annual Corcoran Center case competition at the Boston College Carroll School of Management. I'm Taylor Perkins, and it's been my distinct privilege to head up this year's case competition and to have written this year's case alongside AJ Johnson with contributions from Marilee Poli and Jesse Kansen-Benanov. Today, we'll see three finalist teams present their solutions to the case. They were chosen by a panel of first-round judges who reviewed their written submissions anonymously. In addition to congratulating our finalists, I want to take a moment to express both my pride in and gratitude to all of the students who participated in this year's competition and to encourage you to continue your exploration of the affordable housing industry. Now I'd like to introduce my colleague, Neil McCullough, Executive Director of the Corcoran Center for Real Estate and Urban Action at the Boston College Carroll School of Management for introductory remarks.
Thank you, Taylor. My name is Neil McCullough, and I'm the Executive Director of the Corcoran Center for Real Estate and Urban Action at Boston College. It's my pleasure today to welcome everyone to the finals of the third annual Corcoran Center case competition. Amid the pandemic and political and social unrest and rising inequality, affordable housing stands as one of our nation's greatest challenges. Today, we're going to see three teams of talented undergraduate students demonstrate their understanding of this challenge and present real solutions to an affordable housing problem in the greater Boston area. While today we'll see three finalists, I'm excited to say that 46 teams started this year's competition, including 15 teams from 10 other great universities. We plan to add more universities in years to come. It's exciting and hopeful to see this high level of student engagement in tackling such a complex issue. The Corcoran Center at Boston College was founded to introduce young people to opportunities to change people's lives through real estate and the creation of safe, healthy neighborhoods. We are fulfilling the vision for the center by exposing students to professional opportunities which leverage real estate, and not just for profit, but also to serve as a catalyst for positive change. We know that the need for high quality, affordable housing far outstrips demand. But we also know that there are committed people working on this issue all over the country, and that solutions will come through thoughtful collaboration between government, business, and the communities that will be served by these projects. More than 150 students took steps towards being part of the solution by participating in this competition. The challenge we face is great, but as I observe this competition, I am confident that this next generation is prepared to rise to the occasion and exercise leadership on this issue. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to the teams that participated and to the families of the team members and to the guests that are watching from around the world. And a special welcome to the Real Estate Council of Boston College. On behalf of the Corcoran Center, the Carroll School of Management, Boston College, I'd like to recognize and thank our sponsors, Capital One, Boston Financial, and Citizens Bank. And I'd like to say a special thank you to Mr. Darren Davidson, the president of the Inland Group, who was an early supporter and an inspiration for the competition. Through the support that we receive from our sponsors, each of these companies and their leadership are demonstrating their commitment to building a pipeline of talent for the affordable housing industry. This competition would not be possible without their financial and their ongoing collaboration. Lastly, I'd like to thank and introduce our finalist judges. Today, we're very happy to have with us three professionals with distinguished careers, and very happy to say that they've been a pleasure to work with, and we'll hopefully have a lot of fun today also. From Capital One, Fran Nutchums is the Vice President of Credit and Risk Analytics for Capital One. She supports the New York multifamily and community finance market. Ms. Nutchums has been with Capital One since 2007. From JP Morgan, Michael Brown is the managing director and co-chair of the JP Morgan Leadership Forum. Mr. Brown has been with the bank since 2016. From BlackRock, Sasha Bakro is the managing director and co-head of the opportunistic fixed income team. Mr. Bakro has been with BlackRock since 1995. Thank you to our judges for joining us today and serving in this important role. Enjoy the proposals. And to the finalist teams, good luck.
Thank you, Neil. And now we will present a 2-minute and 50-second video overview of the case that was shared with the teams as well. And then we'll proceed into our first team presentation. Please hold for the video.
Nicknamed the birthplace of the American dream, Quincy, Massachusetts is a city of 92,000 people located immediately south of Boston. Founded in 1625 and the birthplace of United States Presidents John Adams and John Quincy Adams, Quincy has a rich history. Until 1850, Quincy was a leading producer of granite and supplied the stone for structures such as the Bunker Hill Monument. Much of Quincy's history has centered around the water, including the Four River Shipyard. Once one of the largest shipyards in the United States, it closed in 1986. Today, Quincy's 27 miles of coastline features both commercial and recreational areas. An extremely diverse community, Quincy is anchored by the downtown area Quincy Center. Quincy Center has seen extensive redevelopment efforts and features an array of residential and commercial uses, anchored by the Adams National Historic Park. Quincy is served by bus, subway, and commuter rail stops that provide one-seat rides both to downtown Boston and to the surrounding suburbs. The tragedy of the COVID-19 pandemic has created economic challenges in many sectors and has exacerbated the regional and national housing crisis. 3 miles north of Quincy Center, 189 Hancock Street is a former surface parking lot currently in use as a construction staging area. The site will be delivered to your team, cleared and leveled. The site is immediately adjacent to the North Quincy stop on the MBTA Red Line and is situated on Massachusetts Route 3A, a 4-lane arterial road. The nearby area contains a diverse array of land uses. East of Route 3A is primarily single and multifamily housing, as well as various restaurants and other businesses. To the west of the site is primarily large corporate campuses and surface parking lots. Also adjacent to the site is a gas station and North Quincy High School. Developing this site with high-quality, innovative, affordable housing for seniors will be a vital step in addressing the housing crisis. We look forward to reviewing proposals.
At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our first team, Stonehill Capital. Team, from the time you start, you'll have 15 minutes, and I will let you know when you have 1 minute remaining.
Thank you. Should be good to go. So, hello, my name is Joe Rolfe. Will, Colin, Logan, Jack, and I are real estate and finance students and also the founders of Stonehill Capital. First off, we want to express our gratitude to the judges and the Corcoran Center for their time, as well as providing such an insightful learning experience through this case competition. We couldn't be more excited to present to you our development, The Lofts on Hancock Street.
Thanks, Joe. So I will be diving into the market research and then we will head down the outline here. So the proposal site is located approximately 7 miles south of Boston in the city of Quincy, adjacent to North Quincy High School. For the past 2 decades, Quincy has gone through an economic redevelopment transformation and has added over 3,800 housing units. This redevelopment has led to job growth, low unemployment, and a decreasing crime rate, which has ultimately led to a promising population growth of 2.4%. However, the adverse effects of this redevelopment process is causing displacement of lower earning households and specifically the large population of single elders and minority groups. So here we can see the neighborhood outlay and the nearby conveniences. To illustrate the high demand for housing in North Quincy, the site directly next to the proposal is a 600-unit apartment complex under construction. Then, up near the Dunkin' Donuts area, is the current development of 4 different apartments with over 100 units. Now, on the left, I highlighted 3 important conveniences for the residents. 1, we have a Stop and Shop, just a 12-minute walk, and this is great for residents to get groceries and other needs. 2, we have a Walgreens, just a 5-minute walk down Hancock Street, and this is beneficial for pharmaceutical needs and conveniences. And 3, we have a Holiday Inn Express, just an 8-minute walk south. And this is great if residents will be having visitors and whatnot. So comparing the statistics on the left shows how important seniors are to the Quincy community. But further, the supply and demand of Quincy illustrates the need for affordable housing. Quincy has an inelastic supply of land by being constrained by the ocean on the east, Boston to the north, Blue Hills Reservation to the west, and the city of Braintree to the south. This inelastic supply of land, along with the high demand for housing in North Quincy, is making housing expensive. This high cost of owning a home translates to a 47% home ownership rate, far below the national average of 64%. With such low home ownership, high demand for rental housing has made renting unaffordable for lower income households, and in particular, the single elderly population appears statistically vulnerable to unaffordable rent. To combat the adverse effects of economic redevelopment, 6 years ago in 2015, Quincy joined the Metropolitan Area Planning Council and additionally created a Council on Aging. By joining and establishing these organizations, Quincy has aligned themselves with specific goals to develop affordable, inclusive housing that will integrate rather than displace the elder population.
Thank you, Jack. I will now be moving into the development design. For floor amenities, we are choosing to incorporate spaces that will benefit the lives of our residents greatly. We are planning to include a 750 square foot computer lab, as older, low-income individuals may not have access to these resources. This is extremely important as they may use this space to keep up with the news and continue to learn and develop. Going off of that, the 4th floor will have a library, as older individuals enjoy interacting with each other, and this will be a unique aspect of our building. We will have 200 square feet of laundry space on each of the 4 floors. And finally, we will have a small gym on the 1st floor with simple cardio equipment and equipment that may be necessary for physical therapy. Our common areas on floors 2 and 3 will incorporate simple seating areas, again, to give our residents that sense of connection to each other. Our building will contain 2 elevators. One of these will be large enough to fit a stretcher, as emergencies may require this accommodation. The Massachusetts Housing Authority is also making a push to include 2 elevators within apartment buildings, so we're getting ahead of that curve to meet that compliance. The doors used to enter the building will be key fob enabled in order to protect our residents' safety, while also being automatic to reduce the amount of high-touch surfaces within the building. So for unit amenities, our unit amenities will accommodate residents well, but will remain as simple as possible, as we're aware that fitting out units can get pricey. We'll incorporate Energy Star stainless steel appliances in the kitchen, and the bathrooms will feature low step-in tubs. We also want to focus on the element of getting outside within individual unit spaces, so we plan to utilize Juliet balconies as well. Finally, we will incorporate smart home amenities to make living even easier for residents. Unit entrances will be code and fob enabled for easy access to units. Devices like Google Home or Amazon Echo will be incorporated for safety purposes, such as voice-activated emergency services, and even for simple things like controlling light fixtures. Everything on the development site will also be ADA compliant. Our development will focus on several different outdoor amenities as we have ample amounts of space on the site to do so. We recognize the lack of accessible outdoor spaces directly near the property, so we want to incorporate spaces like this right on site. We will include several walking paths on the site that can be used by residents to get outside, and we will also have a 750 square foot patio that can be used by residents to gather with friends and family. A variety of landscaping options will also be included to increase appeal to the property.
Along with practical site design, we will also include various environmentally friendly features. Our development will be built with an energy efficient envelope design in accordance with the Massachusetts Building Energy Code. This will provide continuous air infiltration barriers, and the building will be tested for significant air leakages on an annual basis. High efficiency electric heat pumps and space heating and cooling systems will also be provided. Lastly, in-unit air conditioning will be high efficiency and equipped with insulated covers during heating seasons to remain compliant with the Massachusetts Housing Authority. This will allow for residents to control their room temperatures, all while remaining environmentally conscious. As developers of senior housing, we understand the importance of having fresh breathing air, especially in a post-coronavirus environment. Our team had to understand the costs and benefits of including large balcony spaces in each unit. Due to the excess cost of including walkout balconies, we settled on Juliet balconies to allow the seniors to feel as if their apartment had access to the outdoors, all while avoiding excessive construction overruns. Additionally, HUD's smoke-free policy will be instituted in the development to ensure limited secondhand smoke exposure. Lastly, in-unit kitchen exhaust systems will provide residents with a safe and convenient cooking space, ensuring the highest quality of air. Most importantly, the development will be Passive House certified. As a result, the development will use over 60% less energy than a non-passive house design building. Passive house can be summarized through three main points. One, that there will be proper insulation. Two, there will be no air leakages. And three, there will be no thermal bridges. As outlined by Passive House Massachusetts, the operating costs will be provided to the Housing Authority to ensure we are meeting Passive House standards for the first 5 years of operation. In addition to the energy efficiencies and certifications, the development will also have numerous sustainable site design features. First off, starting in the upper left-hand corner and moving counterclockwise, deciduous trees will be planted on the western border of the site, offering greenery and noise protection from the nearby red line. Cool pavement will be used to limit the heat island effect produced by the parking lot. This is demonstrated by the cool pavement reflecting 30% more sunlight than the alternative dark pavement. Bike racks will be provided to promote an active lifestyle and sustainable transportation practices. Lastly, there will be a near 1 acre walking space and native area in the northern portion of the parcel, offering much needed fresh air, walking space, and an area for residents to relax with their friends and family.
All of these sustainable elements are going to integrate this property seamlessly within the community. Just 6 minutes north of the property is the Kennedy Senior Center, offering the low cost, and free exercise classes to seniors. On site, several days a week, there will be a services coordinator connecting residents with different medical services and also helping them work through insurance issues. Additionally, a mentorship program with North Quincy High will provide high schoolers with a mentor within the community and allow them to meet up several times a month. And finally, a partnership with Steward Medical Group will make getting consultations and receiving medical care a breeze. This site has incredible linkages and is directly adjacent to the North Quincy Red Line stop, connecting residents to virtually any location in the Boston Metro. Specifically for health-related needs, the service coordinator can also connect residents to Uber Health, which has a pre-existing partnership with the Boston Medical Center and allows residents to use their insurance to cover costs of rides to and from medical appointments.
Moving on to the financing of our proposal supports 60% AMI net max rents while still holding a 5% rent advantage for the existing affordable inventory in the broader Quincy area. Taking a look at the Hancock Court Apartments, Kendrigan Place, and the Townbrook House Apartments, we determined these were the three best affordable comps in the Quincy area, and the average one-bedroom rent of these three properties equates to a market rent of $1,461, compared to our asking rent of $1,389 as underwritten in our projects. While these affordable properties are comparable, they are older products built in the 80s, and our new construction proposal offers more environmentally friendly features with the post-COVID era senior resident in mind, including larger 800 square foot units with balconies, keyless access, and voice-activated smart home technology in case our residents have an emergency. We also looked at how our proposal stacks up against the closest comparable market rate property, the Points at North Quincy, which confirms our strong rent advantage, offering a comparable one-bedroom floor plan starting at $1,750 per month. Together, this set of comps justifies a strong market demand at the proposed rent levels for our development. Moving on to the project's sources and uses of capital, our funds come from hard debt, both federal and state low-income housing tax credits, and 5 soft debt sources. Located in a difficult to develop area with a median income of over $120,000, the proposal takes advantage of a 30% basis boost, as well as a favorable 40-year amortization term, allowing us to maximize hard debt while only applying for 29% of the maximum federal tax credits the project is eligible for, making a very strong application for the competitive 9% program without lowering our unit set-asides. The first 2 sources of soft debt come from the Commercial Area Transit Node Housing Program and the Housing Stabilization Fund, providing a total of $2 million in funding. Finally, the site leverages local funds, including the Quincy Affordable Housing Trust, Home Funds Massachusetts, and the Community Preservation Act. The size of the sources are based on a percent of total development cost from a similar project recently developed in Quincy called the Watson, a $44 million LIHTC development. Our project relies on these pro rata percentages as a benchmark in sizing a request for our $18 million budget. The resourceful use of these soft funds helps us create a proposal with a true competitive advantage that provides a best-in-class living experience for our residents while still offering the most competitive rents.
So now that we've seen the full scope of our development, we'll take a look at some lessons learned throughout the process. As I was diving into market research, it was interesting to see how affordable and senior housing were affected by the pandemic. Early on, some operators turned down new residents to stop the spread and additionally implemented new visitor policies with the same intention. The lesson learned here was to survey market competitors closely and to stay on trend with what best suits residents.
Secondly, it became apparent while working through the case that a tax credit deal has many more parties involved than a market rate deal, and all those parties fluently working together is of the utmost importance. The developer's duty to apply and secure tax credits, finding an investor that's a good fit, and having a competent attorney are all essential players in the tax credit deal. Secondly, from an anecdotal perspective, working on the case was a clear demonstration of the importance of teamwork, delegating responsibilities in accordance with our personal experiences and strengths, as well as communicating clearly.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Next up, we learned a lot about the cost and resident benefit trade-off. We obviously wanted to include the most essential amenities for our residents, but we had to be conscious of what we included and where we could save on costs. We utilized simplified amenities and designs within our development, such as self-sustaining landscaping, which allowed us to include more necessary items like smart home devices, the computer lab, and the outdoor patio.
Finally, choosing partnerships and services our older residents would want was a huge challenge because of the age difference between what people our age would want and what an older generation would want. But through research into the age group and finding initiatives Quincy already had in place, we were able to select some great partnerships. At this point, we would like to open it up to any questions you may have about the lofts on Hancock Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Stonehill Capital. So as William just said, we'll now open it up to questions from our judges and restart the timer for up to 15 minutes of questions.
I have a question for you guys. When you were thinking about developing this project, how did you decide what age group you wanted to target, the over 55 or versus over 62?
So When we had conversations about this topic, we thought about the costs and benefits of both. And we know that there's a large population above 62 or above 65 in Quincy. But we didn't see any downfalls from lowering the age to 55, as that could hit more of the minority groups that are under or that have lower income rather than just getting the elderly population.
Thank you.
When you were thinking about the design of the building, I think it's really cool to have sort of smart building options, but were there any considerations for your cohort and adoption?
Could you clarify what you mean by the end of that question?
So I think sometimes with the elderly, they may not have as much experience with some of the devices that younger cohorts have. So in thinking about how they were going to operate within their own unit, if the technology was foreign to them, it might be difficult for them.
Yeah, so I think we definitely had thought about that. I think we want to be able to include kind of the most basic things. You know, they're not going to be using the most advanced features of these kind of technology items, but we would have, like Will was talking about, that services coordinator there. I think that that's something that we could tie into their duties as far as like teaching residents how to use that technology to the best of their ability.
And then going off of that point, mainly one big piece of technology, the key fob access, we thought would be really beneficial post coronavirus environment, as that's pretty, self-explanatory for the senior residents to use. And then as far as like the more smart home features, like the Alexa or Google Home, we thought those would be really beneficial as far as in the event of an emergency, being able to simply speak to the smart home to have help instead of, sometimes seniors can face issues where they fall and they aren't able to receive help, just having something they can speak to, and just allowing them to understand that they can turn the lights on through the Alexa or the Google Home, but still having that more traditional technology of the light switch as well.
Yeah, one specific thing we talked about pertaining to the Alexa, because we really like that idea because they're really inexpensive. It's only about $40 per. We thought of laminating like a little term sheet of some very basic commands they could use, such as like, hey Alexa, call for help. Hey Alexa, call my mother, call my child, stuff like that. And it's actually something I've done for my grandma, who's absolutely loved it.
When you guys were thinking about your capital stack and sources and uses, talk me through a little bit how you came to your tax credit sizing equity on both the state and federal values.
So for the state funding, we looked in the QAP and saw that for our development size being 41 to 60 units, it's limited to $700,000 at the state allocation level. So that we were basing our financing for the state credit at $700,000. And then for the federal credit, we pretty much use that as like the gap funding to make up the difference between our sources and uses. And that's how we derive the 29% of our maximum eligible basis. And we just backed into that calculation based on the applicable fraction and eligible basis and the 9% credit rate.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I was just Mike Brown's just wondering if there was any consideration given to kind of what we've learned from COVID and this particular age group being more at risk, if any of that thought went into the building design or maybe how the building will be maintained from a kind of wellness standpoint.
So as we touched on a little bit earlier, one of the things we wanted to implement was touchless doors and touchless anything as possible. So that kind of goes with the keep fob. And at the entrance, we'll have automatically opening doors. And then at your specific room, you'll have to open your own door. But along with that, I think Joe touched on some air filtration. We want to have the best air filtration possible so you don't spread things like that. And those are a couple of the things. And like I touched on the lesson learned, it's kind of surveying the market and seeing what other properties are doing. Not just affordable housing, but multifamily in general, to see how they're taking on the pandemic and just implementing what's on trend.
And then additionally, we researched into what seniors felt were missing within their housing complexes. And a lot of times we saw that it was access to fresh air. So we knew that including large walkout balconies probably wouldn't fit within our cost budget. So we included the Juliet balconies to make it feel so the seniors could have access to that fresh air without coming in contact with other individuals, therefore increasing the risk, obviously, of contracting the virus. And then secondly, to put outdoor walking spaces for those residents who do want to go outside at the risk of obviously coming in closer contact with other individuals, but they can be outside, have access to fresh air, and utilize our patio and walking space.
And then one last thing, just going off of that, we did have the implementation of 2 elevators, partially due to being conscious of things post-COVID, so that people don't necessarily have to ride the same elevator together, and there can be a little bit more separation there.
What surprised you to learn about Quincy in general, or should I say Quincy? Or I'm going to get someone to tell me I'm not from Massachusetts, but I'm not. Besides the pronunciation of the town name.
I guess one thing off the bat was just the larger or the older population there. I mean, on my statistical comparison sheet, you look at the national average of the percentage above 55 or 65 in a community, and it's at 15%. And Boston goes down to about 13%, and then you have Quincy at 17%. So that is one of the statistics that stands out, and specifically for a development like this, I think that's really important. So just seeing that elder community, and then how Quincy is addressing it. So they created the Elder Services Council, or Elder Aging Council. And so they're attacking the issue of displacement of those individuals directly by sending out a newsletter or for elderly community activities or classes. So it's interesting to see, it's cool to see Quincy attack the problem they're directly having.
And then additionally, just simply due to the location of Quincy, how great it is to have access to the Red Line and different public transportation routes that literally allow residents to be in Boston or the surrounding suburbs within a half hour is a huge benefit to the site and developing in the area.
Yeah, and finally, just like the super rich history that Quincy has and that Massachusetts has. I mean, when you think about a lot of like our nation's history, you think like Boston, but I was surprised to find out like just how many amazing historical attractions are in the city of Quincy, which is a few miles south.
Great, thanks, guys.
Can you talk a little bit more about the sizing of the permanent loan?
Yeah. So our goal for the permanent loan was to increase our NOI. So we did that through the 40-year amortization term, as well to lower the debt or the cost of the debt, and increase NOI to therefore increase the size of the debt and take on a larger share of the capital stack. And then that lowers the requirement necessary for our development to go and raise soft funds and funds that are basically subsidized from the government which are typically harder to gather. So our first priority was to make that as large a chunk as possible. And so it currently makes up 45% of our total development cost.
What did you guys think of any, I noticed in your presentation, you have a 1 acre kind of outdoor space. Have you guys thought about kind of ongoing expenses related to the upkeep and maintenance of that?
Yeah, that was one of the big reasons that we decided that that area would be more of a native space, is that we didn't want to be liable or having operating costs that, far exceed our budget and would cut into our NOI. So we want to keep that 1 acre area a native area and allow things to grow out and just solely have to maintain the walking paths.
Got it. Thanks.
So we have a couple minutes left if there are any further questions. Just check with the judges here. Does anybody have any further questions?
I'm good, thanks.
I'm good.
Great. Well,
Yep.
with that, we'll say thank you to Stonehill Capital. Reminder to the team members, we'll ask you to log back in at 12:40, at which time the judges will be deliberating and we'll be back on the call to hear their verdict. But at this time, we'll just ask you to drop off for now and then use that same unique link to log back in as a panelist.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you all. Have a great rest of your
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. So we will move right into presentation number 2, which is from CHG Development. I can see CHG, you are all in the call and you look ready to go. So I'll give you a second to get organized and get your screen sharing started. And then once you begin, you'll have 15 minutes. And I will let you know when you have 1 minute left.
Perfect. Thank you. Can you hear all of us all right?
Yes.
Yep. I'm here.
Sounds good. All right, I'll share my screen. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
All righty, Ryan, when you're ready.
All right, thanks, Phil. So hello, everyone, and thank you for attending our presentation today. My name is Ryan Horning, and I'll be presenting alongside my partners, Grayson Cohen and Phil Giordano, on behalf of CHG Development. We're thrilled to present our proposal, Hancock Heights, which is Quincy's newest affordable 55+ residence. So to briefly go over what we'll be covering today, I will start by providing an overview of Quincy and the state of its housing market before identifying the site and giving a current property overview. From there, Grayson will walk through our development proposal and provide a rationale for choosing a 55+ community. After that, Phil will follow up with how we will interact with the surrounding community and some of the major economic and social benefits our proposal will create. We will then transition into the financing of this project before we will all conclude with our lessons learned. So now on to Quincy. Here we provided a few key stats to give a brief overview of Quincy. Located south of Boston, this historic community is home to approximately 94,000 citizens. Quincy is a community, as you can see, where the majority of the residents are renting their housing, and the median household income is slightly above the neighboring Boston community. Lastly, the median age is significantly older than that of Boston, which leads us to the next topic, the need for age-restricted housing. So in researching the demographic trends presented in this case, with our additional research, we saw the national trend of an aging population. And this also holds true for Quincy, with approximately 30.7% of the population already 55+, and another 12.7% becoming 55+ in the next 10 years. We viewed this as an excellent opportunity to reach those members of Quincy who are income constrained and meet these age restrictions, as we will get into their current housing stock available in the following slides. So the key takeaways from our research of Quincy's current housing stock are that virtually all of the residentially zoned land has been developed already, and upon receival of a zoning variance or special permit, will be able to provide 56 more units of housing. It's also important to note that Quincy does not currently meet the Chapter 40B threshold of affordability, or a 10% minimum, even though 43% of the residents are cost burdened. We also found that only 11.3% of current affordable housing units are for 55 plus. So we saw this as an opportunity to reach an underserved population while ensuring that, as the Quincy Housing Production Plan requests, elder members of the community maintain a high quality of life. So we found the Quincy Housing Production Plan and the North Quincy Community Coalition's letter to the mayor to provide a great background on the need for senior housing in Quincy. With the household size expected to decrease as population ages and more seniors are beginning to live alone, the community expressed its concern to keep seniors integrated, as they are a vital part of the community. We found that there was an overall concern about a senior's ability to age in place in Quincy, with home prices continuing to rise. As for these graphs on the right, the top chart demonstrates the lack of comparable developments, particularly highlighting the small inventory of 55 plus privately owned affordable housing. And this is where we saw a disconnect between our demographic research and the housing stock, and provides another reason behind our rationale. The bottom chart displays how elderly individuals or couples living independent of their children are the most cost burdened in Quincy. So now on to the property overview. The site we were assigned is nested in the northern part of Quincy, adjacent to the North Quincy MBTA stop of the Red Line, and in close proximity to the East Squantum Street stop on the 210 Yellow bus line. Currently, the 3.77 acre site is being used as a construction staging area and presents a site with lots of potential in the Business C district. As you can see from this map we've created, our site's location is prime for senior housing. With essential service retailers, restaurants, public transportation, a bank, and even State Street's offices, the amenities in the area heavily favor our development. I'll now pass it off to Grayson to give more details.
Thank you, Ryan. Hancock Heights will be a 53,700 square foot, 4-story, 55 plus geared development with 56 units of ground floor parking, 46 of which are covered with a stilted first floor parking level. If you look to the picture on the right, you can see a rough idea of what we want this building to look like and how it would be situated on the site. We also came up with a more detailed site and massing plan, which we'll show you guys later on at the end of the presentation. These 3 properties are all located in Quincy and serve as a strong market comps for our site. While all these properties are larger than ours, the rents show a great baseline, as do the unit sizes. While these sizes do look to be larger than ours on average, they come from a blended mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units, which skews this size to appear larger than they actually are. Additionally, with these properties being 78 units or larger, we think that our low-rise development will feel homier, paired with our community and green space to offer a strong sense of community for residents and a more enjoyable environment overall, where they can really get to know each other and combat the issues of loneliness. Our average unit size is 700 square feet, and we will have 44 non-rental assistance units and 12 rental assistance units. The rental rates are $1,389 and $1,873 respectively. It is also important to note that the rental rates are based on a 1.5 person household, which is standard for 1 bedroom units with 60% AMI, which is currently $57,600 annually. For design precedents, we utilize these 3 properties you can see above. The Abbey, 59 Spear Street being local, and Maison Apartments being from Maryland, but offering a great aesthetic that we'd love to replicate in our site. We think that focusing on pipeline and previously approved projects within the local area is crucial because it responds to the wants and needs of the town. And also because there's no reason for us to reinvent the wheel. It also looks great for us to work with the town and to really, by using a more common design plan, it'll fit in much better with the community and make the whole planning board process much easier than try to propose maybe a modern building or something very out of character with Quincy. Additionally, we're really excited about the use of glass and brick paneling and think it'll really fit in well with the community. For interior designs, we hope to have a well-lit, welcoming lobby with large windows, a vestibule to keep cold winter air out, wireless key fob systems, a TV, and a gas fireplace to really just make this a place people want to go and enjoy at all times and all times of the year. We will also offer 2 elevators and railings throughout common areas in the building for some of our older residents who might need some help getting around. For amenities, we will offer hand sanitizing stations throughout the building. Resident health is crucial to CHG development. We want to ensure that this mission is visible throughout the building. We will also offer programmed common and community spaces with a rooftop garden to help residents pass time, laundry stations on each floor with seating, common space, and lending libraries where residents can share and read their own books. This also helps further foster a sense of community, is in residents will be seeing each other all the time, whether they're doing laundry or going to go read in the reading nooks, as you can see in the top right corner. Finally, we'll offer a stilted first floor of parking, which will provide for 46 covered parking spaces, which is great to have in these New England winters. So our units are all going to be open with large windows and natural light for fresh air and for COVID safety. We will also offer equipped kitchens with garbage disposals, electric appliances, and bar overhangs that provide for extra seating for residents and their guests. We'll also offer ADA-friendly floor plans, walk-in standing showers, widened doors, and all other ADA amenities you would expect to see in a building like this. Unit floor plans will be open to increase how large the units feel and to create a very adaptable and customizable environment, which is really great, especially in a COVID world. As ever lockdown, that extra 100 square feet is really nice to have. So finally, this development is going to be geared towards a 55+ demographic for really 4 major reasons. First, the 55+ age demographic of the city is growing, and targeting a demographic at 55+ enables us to really extend our building's affordability to a much larger audience of those in need of affordable housing. Additionally, we're really close to transit, and many residents from 55 to 65 are still working their jobs. And being so close to transit, where they can literally walk out the back door and be on the train in a matter of minutes, and be in downtown Boston or even in downtown Quincy, that's a great amenity that we really think would be crucial to have for that people that are still working but are getting older. Further, the average age for empty nesters is roughly 49 years old, but 60% of which of empty nesters are 55+. So by providing these units, we can help people to downsize, which allows them to have a more manageable home, and for young people to move back into Quincy with families to help go to the schools and really keep the median age in a really healthy area. This also enables residents to age in place, which Phil will now expand upon.
Thank you, Grayson. Our programming and community engagement are an essential part to our proposal. First, we plan to partner with the Service and Learning Center at the North Quincy High School, which is within walking distance to the site. This could include activities such as pen pal and mentorship programs, which would allow for our residents to share their collective wisdom with students, who in exchange will develop friendships and keep our residents feeling young. Another partnership we would pursue is with the SHINE program, which is an organization that advises seniors on Medicare and health insurance options. This would be a valuable partnership for our residents because as they grow older and have evolving health needs, it's going to be important for them to know which programs best suit their needs. Additionally, we would partner with the South Shore Medical Center to provide access to flu and other vaccination shots, as well as trips to checkups and other appointments. We would do all this with the help of a supportive service coordinator, which is something we've budgeted for in our pro forma income and expense statement, and whose job it would be to oversee and maintain these proposed relationships, while also having an open and ongoing dialogue with residents to respond to their needs and requests over time. Hancock Heights will have many economic and social benefits for its residents, the greater Quincy community, and beyond. With a rooftop community garden, an inviting outdoor space, COVID-conscious amenities and designs, and sustainable in-unit features, this development will help to foster an environment where our older residents can feel safe and socially distanced while still enjoying all that Hancock Heights has to offer. Additionally, with the partnerships I just mentioned, this will help to make life easier on residents as they grow older, provide them access to essential services that they may not otherwise be able to afford, and really help to connect them with organizations and other residents in the community. And as rents become more predictable based on changes to area median income and offered at a 20 to 30% discount to market rent, which we found to be $2,099 a month for 1-bedroom units, these residents will grow more comfortable in the transition from taking home paychecks from work to receiving Social Security, maybe pension checks, disability checks into retirement. This will in turn increase their disposable income, which they can spend at the many local restaurants and retailers that Ryan showed earlier. And additionally, by converting an otherwise underutilized site in Quincy into 56 units of housing, the city of Quincy will benefit from higher property tax revenue at the site, which they can spend on essential city services. Lastly, given our site's large size at over 3.75 acres and our plan to mass the building towards the southeastern portion, towards the front of the street, we could reasonably plan for another development or two to go up next door to further enhance the neighborhood. All in all, Hancock Heights will serve is a development that will set the standard for affordable senior housing in Quincy. On to the deal's financial feasibility. Hancock Heights will have a total development cost of just under $20.4 million, with a specific cost outlined above. To finance this, we would need 7 different financing sources, as seen on the right. Starting at the bottom of the capital stack and working our way up, our project could support just over $8 million in senior debt. We'd also qualify for $4 million from 4 different soft debt sources from the city and state, the requirements and qualifications for which I can share during the Q&A portion. And between the federal and state LIHTC equity programs, we could generate another $8.3 million in equity to bridge the gap and to get sources to tie to uses. To take a closer look at the debt and equity calculations we've made, we'll start with how we've sized the debt. Based on a stabilized NOI of $452,810 and a debt coverage ratio of 1.15, we determined our project could support just over $393,000 in annual debt service. At a 3.75% interest rate over a 40-year period, this translates to just over $8 million in a permanent loan. Next, we calculated how much equity we would need to generate for the Massachusetts State LIHTC program. Based on a credit rate of 4%, we determined we could apply for just over $794,000 a year in annual credits. However, given the state's qualified action plan and their guidelines for developments with 41 to 60 units, we're restricted and can only apply for up to $700,000. At a price of 79 cents a credit over a 5-year period, this translates to just over $2.75 million in state LIHTC equity. Lastly, we calculated how much equity we would need from the federal 9% LIHTC program. Since our site is in a difficult to develop area, we could apply a 30% basis boost, which brings our LIHTC basis to over $19.8 million. This translates to a max annual credit of $2.3 million. However, given the competitiveness of the program and our needs for the project, we'd only need to apply for $527,000, which translates to $5.5 million in federal equity, excess basis of over $18.8 million, which we think demonstrates this project's ability to support itself with other financing sources and thus would increase the likelihood of funding from the allocating agency, DHCD. Here's a quick look at our projected cash flows over the 15-year compliance period for the tax credits. With an expense ratio of 53% of EGI in year 1, including our budgeted $30,000 for a supportive service coordinator, we arrive at an NOI of $472,000, excluding budgeted replacement reserves. From this, you can see a steady increase in NOI and debt coverage ratios over the years, stemming from predictable income growth and stable tenancy. With that, I'll turn it back over to Ryan, who will share our first lesson.
Thanks, Phil. So the first major lesson we learned is the importance of understanding community demographics and listening to the community's needs. We believe this is reflected in our design and includes practical and impactful partnerships.
Second lesson is adapting to the challenges of COVID-19. Whether we like it or not, this pandemic has had a huge effect on how we live our lives. And as developers, it's crucial to take these things into account when we're doing a development plan.
Our third lesson is the importance of utilizing all of these different debt and equity sources to fill the capital stack. Remaining. Thank you. And to make these deals affordable to as many people as possible. With that, we'd like to thank you for our time and conclude our presentation, and we'll open it up to any questions.
Thank you, team. And as Phil just said, we'll open it up to 15 minutes of questions from our judges.
Since you tossed up the softball, I'll toss it back up to you. Can you talk us through the soft debt? How did you choose the individual agencies? What constraints is it going to impose upon the development of this project? And
Sure.
What alternatives did you think about?
Sure. So I'll start with how we went about selecting these. So a lot of these soft debt sources have quite a few requirements. For example, I think the transit node housing program requires affordability for 30 years. And I think the Housing Stabilization Fund requires affordability for 50 years. Now that extends beyond the 15-year compliance period for tax credits. So that just means that we would need to extend our affordability beyond the tax credit compliance period, which is something we're comfortable with as a nonprofit developer. And these soft debt sources also have specific requirements with regards to AMI limits and percent of units that fall under those limits. So the transit node program required 50% of the units to be offered at rents less than 80% AMI. Housing Stabilization Fund required rents lower than 80% AMI in the first 40 years, and I believe lower than 100% in the following 10 years. So we really need to work together with the right lender, with the right sponsors to ensure that we can maintain in compliance with these soft debt sources, as well as the state and federal LIHTCs. And in looking at other soft debt sources, a lot of them required extremely low income units offered to residents who are making less than 30% of AMI. And we knew, given the constraints of the case, that that just wouldn't work for us. So we found that these four could realistically work. And while the Massachusetts Affordable Housing Trust Fund and the Quincy Community Preservation Act funding doesn't have strict requirements per se, they had a lot of preferences. Like the Affordable Housing Trust Fund wanted or preferred nonprofit developers. They preferred new creation of new units, 30-year plus affordability, which works well with our transit node housing program soft debt source, and rents offered at less than 80% AMI. So obviously we need to apply to these, and we can't ensure that they're going to fill our entire capital stack. But we think that given the large excess basis we had for the 9% federal credits, that we could draw on a little more of that if we do not qualify for any or all of these four sources.
Great, thank you.
How did you choose your comparable properties? What were the criteria?
So these properties were all affordable rates or mixed income communities. And we thought that all of these were older, but they were similar in size. Some of them were a little larger. And we thought that just the one bedroom sizes, which came in at around 675 square feet, were pretty similar to what we could feasibly build. And while we didn't highlight any market rate affordable senior residences, I believe we've talked about them in our narrative. I believe it's 215 or 218 Adams Street in Quincy, which is by the water, as well as the Foley Senior Residences, which is in Mattapan. And those had higher rents. That's how we arrived at that market rate number for one bedrooms of $2,099 a month. And those had similar amenities to what we proposed as well. We thought we did a little better job at offering more COVID conscious and flexible amenities. But we thought that the 62 plus comps were pretty good reference point for us to work in developing a 55 plus development.
Yeah, could you elaborate a little bit on some of the things you did in consideration of what we've learned from the pandemic?
I can start this one off. To start, we did larger unit sizes, just with the understanding that, if you ever have to do like a lockdown again, you want that extra space in your room, whether, you just want to have extra space to sit around, maybe you want to have some workout equipment, so you can just be mobile. Having that extra space feels nice. I don't know about you guys, but I had to do quarantine in my room when I got home from college. It was pretty brutal being stuck in that little space all day. And so, being somewhere you have all the space, nice open kitchen, great appliances to cook with. I think a lot of these things really great amenities to have. As far as common spaces go, we have also movable furniture so that, you don't have like in-place benches and things like that you can't move around for distancing. Cleaning stations, and then outdoor space as well. As you see with this plaza here, we want to have something really nice where you can have friends and guests to go sit outside and talk. A garden, which is a great way to get outside, get fresh air, but to be able to distance healthily. I think this is a great starting point of just stuff that we've offered.
Right, and expanding on that, in a senior-focused development where isolation is an issue with seniors, especially with 36% of seniors in Quincy living alone, we wanted to maximize socialization and interaction in our development, but we recognize that that's not always possible. So with movable and flexible furniture, we could have residents or building management sort of program the space to accommodate for more socially distanced interactions or independent work or leisure. And we think that these outdoor amenities like the rooftop garden and seating, like Grayson said, be great ways to ensure that people can still socialize with one another and the friends they make in this development, as they're going to be living there for a long time, hopefully, while staying within the guidelines of the pandemic.
In your narrative, I think you talked about utilizing prefab construction. Can you talk about how you decided to go that route?
Yeah, so I'm pretty into a lot of construction sort of stuff, and I thought the idea of this prefabricated construction, it decreases your time on site. So if you have a lot of your windows and exterior paneling already built off site, installation is much easier because at that point you're basically just swinging it in and almost like hanging it on the building, kind of like a very blunt way of putting things. But it decreases time on site. It can be less expensive. It's safer, less man hours. That was a general gist of things. Also, it's a bit more innovative. I think the construction industry is starting to change up a little bit and become more innovative, including new technologies and processes. And that's just a great way to kind of stay with the times.
And building off of that, it helps to deliver these units faster than more traditional construction. So we think we'd be able to deliver to market a little faster and serve these residents a few months earlier, hopefully.
What other design elements did you guys think about, interior, exterior? And one other thing I noted is obviously there's a development next door, but right across the street there's a high school. How do you guys think of integrating like that as part of your overall plan?
Yeah, I can actually take this one, including the high school. So actually throughout my experience in high school, I went to school right near a senior living community. And one of my favorite memories in high school for volunteering was going to Wisdom Teas. So every Wednesday you'd go to hang out with all the residents, and it was really fun. You just sit around, you drink tea, and just play board games and talk. And it was so much fun just to have that experience, to learn from older people, establish relationships. I went back for 4 years of college experience, being able to see the same people all the way through, meet new people, and it's an experience that even now I've cherished from high school. And so I think having the opportunity for other people is a really valuable experience to share, and it benefits the senior residents as well as the students. I got just as much out of it as they did. And I think that passing that experience on is something that'd be really great to offer in the future.
And going off that, as for the design, Phil, if you could flip to the appendix.
Sure.
So we were proposing an access road that would take advantage of the Hunt Street intersection on Hancock. And this would allow us to connect the sidewalk system across the road to be able to reach that high school more efficiently and not have to worry about traffic congestion as much.
Yeah, you can see that crosswalk. Let me go back to this map, I believe. You can see this, there's a crosswalk here right now, which is going to be closer to where the Abbey is being built. And that connects to the other side of Hancock Street, but Hunt Street's right here, which is where the North Quincy High School sits. And in addition to that access road, we'd be proposing a crosswalk right here, which would really create a four-way crosswalk system at this intersection with traffic lights to better connect the residents who may be wanting to see a sporting event. Maybe their children or grandchildren are playing a sporting event in high school and want to go watch the game. We just think that a crosswalk there would really make it easier to connect the building with the surrounding community.
Great, thanks guys.
We have a few more minutes left. If Michael, Sasha, or Fran, you have any further questions?
I think I'm good.
Me too.
Good.
Okay, great. Well then, we will say thank you to CHG Development for your presentation today. And we'll ask you to log back in. I'll ask you to log out now and to log back in at 12:40, at which point, the judges will be deliberating and then we'll be returning to the webinar with the verdict.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you all for your time.
Thanks so much.
And I see that we have our third but not last team, Ace Real Estate, has joined us this morning. I'll give you a moment just to get settled. And then I'll ask you to share your screen and to get started. And at that point, I will start a timer for 15 minutes and we'll let you know when there's 1 minute remaining in your time.
Thanks so much. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can everyone see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. I think Cece and Alex are all ready to get started. Okay, sounds good. Good afternoon, everyone. We are Ace Real Estate, and today we're going to be presenting on our affordable housing development, Quincy Terrace Apartments. I'm Eva, and I'm a junior studying finance, accounting, and French.
I'm Cece, and I'm a freshman studying finance and accounting.
I'm Alex, and I'm a freshman studying finance and entrepreneurship.
This is our agenda for today's presentation. We're going to start with some background about the city of Quincy and our development. Then we'll dive into detail about Quincy Terrace Apartments and explain how we plan to integrate it into the community. We'll describe our project financing and then share the lessons we learned from this case. We're going to start with Cece reading our mission statement and why we're passionate about Quincy Terrace Apartments.
Ace Real Estate aims to provide quality, affordable housing for the elderly and foster relationships between our residents and the surrounding community. We believe Quincy Terrace Apartments aligns with our goals and will have a positive impact on the charming city of Quincy.
The city of Quincy currently has a large need for affordable housing. So to reach this state mandated 10% affordable housing quota that they need to reach, Quincy is in need of 178 additional units of low-income housing. We would be providing 56 quality units for those in need in the Quincy area with our project. We found that due to the growing senior population, aiming this project specifically at an older age group would be most beneficial and needed. With almost a fifth of the Quincy population being seniors, along with Quincy's essential need for affordable housing, this project is perfect for the city of Quincy and its residents.
In 2020, Quincy's AMI was $89,600, which is lower than the rest of Norfolk County and Massachusetts as a whole. Moreover, Quincy's poverty rate is 11.3%, which is higher than the national poverty rate of 10.5%. Therefore, even in a moderately well-off city like Quincy, we can see a real need for affordable housing, particularly for extremely low-income residents.
With our market analysis, we looked at other affordable housing units and their prices to make sure ours were in line with others in Quincy. The average monthly rent of these and others in the area is $1,285, with an average square footage of 697. Another thing we noticed in our market research was that there are more 62 plus communities than 55 plus.
So here we have an aerial video of the Quincy Terrace Apartments plot, and we can see the surrounding Quincy community. Our plot is within a close distance to the beach, along with many other open green spaces where residents can go. We get a clear look at how our project fits perfectly into the Quincy community. And on the next slide, we'll see some more important locations very close to the project. As you can see on the slide, Quincy Terrace Apartments is near many important storefronts. Within a short distance, we have different food options like Dunkin' Donuts, Applebee's, and Panera. We're also very close to a Walgreens, which includes a pharmacy. We have a FedEx, as well as a TD Bank. Most importantly, we're in short walking distance from a T-stop, which is very important to the accessibility of our project. So being near all of these locations allows for our residents to have easy access to food, medicine, transportation, and other essentials that they'll need. There are also many other important locations that are not shown in this picture, still in a close proximity to our project though, like Stop and Shop, 99 Ranch Market, Quincy Medical, Hancock Animal Hospital, and many restaurants. We can see Quincy Terrace is clearly in a busy and vibrant area that benefits our residents and brings business and diversity to the surrounding community.
Ace Real Estate chose to open up our apartments to the 55 plus age category for a variety of reasons, but we chose to highlight 3 here. First, we hope that by offering housing to residents starting at age 55 will increase the average tenure. This high tenure will reduce vacancy and turnover and improve the overall community in the building. Additionally, the average retirement age in Massachusetts is 65. So at 55, we believe many of our residents will still be working. We want to take full advantage of our location right next to the T-stop and offer housing to 55 plus. Last, because many of our residents are still working, we will be able to charge slightly higher rents since many of our residents will have a source of income.
Now to get into describing our development a little more. So in the photo on the left here, you can see how we plan to divide the 3.77 acre lot on 189 Hancock Street. In yellow, you can see our parking where we will offer 56 spots. In red, we'll have an entrance area with a covered curbside entrance and benches. The actual building is in purple. It is 53,700 square feet and 4 stories tall. It will feature 56 one-bedroom units, each 791 square feet. After subtracting the parking, entrance area, and building from the overall plot, we have over 100,000 square feet of outdoor space. And Cece will explain a little later how we plan to utilize this space. Moreover, as Cece just said, our residents will all be 55 years old and older. 100% of them will earn 60% or less of the AMI, And we also plan for approximately 20% of our residents to be extremely low income. A priority for our development team was making sure that our development was both affordable and high quality. Regardless of income, our residents deserve to live in nice, dignified housing. These are some photos that we used as inspiration for our development. We want Quincy Terrace Apartments to be modern but cozy, and we plan to have extensive outdoor space to provide a tranquil environment for our residents.
Our building design makes sure all of our units are constructed to accommodate accessible features, but they will not initially include these unless requested by the residents. We want to make sure our rooms gave residents freedom to make these decisions because we know not everyone will need nor want handicap accessible rooms. However, we do have many options for those who want the room to be fitted so that it's more accessible. Some features will be permanent in every room, like smooth flooring, wide hallways and doorways, step-free entry, door handles instead of door knobs, and ramps. We also incorporate keyless entry into our building and each unit. We really feel these design elements help to aid our residents, but not too much, where it changes every tenant's experience. Our team also focused on how we can make our bathroom and kitchen as accessible as possible. The bathroom will include options to create a worry-free environment for our residents. Any assistance that they will need will be possible in our design. The kitchen will include many different elements that can aid our tenants as well. For example, our drawers will be on wheels for increased mobility. This allows for the creation of open spaces under the counters for wheelchairs. And cabinet handles will be specifically placed lower on the cabinets for accessibility. Making life easier for our residents was our goal, and by incorporating these features, we were able to do this.
We chose to maximize our community space on every floor to differentiate our building from others in the area and to also improve the health of our residents. Studies show that seniors with frequent community engagement are healthier mentally and physically. The first floor will have 2,000 square feet of community space, including an office for a service coordinator, a versatile activities room, a dining area, and a gym space. The service coordinator will help our residents to connect to Walgreens to get prescriptions delivered, local vaccination providers for their COVID-19 vaccines, Meals on Wheels for meal deliveries, a housekeeper if their room is messy, and any other community connections necessary. The activities room will be used for game nights and any other socialization. The dining area is open for residents who want to eat with one another, and there will also be bigger planned events to engage the whole community, like weekend brunches and dinners. The gym space will host low-intensity workout classes for residents, like Zumba and yoga.
The second floor has office space with 10 computers that residents can use for leisure or for work. We will also have some extra lounge seating where the residents can relax. We are going to invite local service providers and student volunteers to teach computer education classes. The third floor will have the biggest lounge space in our building, with comfortable seating for residents to hang out, relax, watch TV, or enjoy coffee together. And that will be really important for creating the close-knit community feel we want in our building. Lastly, on the fourth floor, we will have a small convenience store, which will be stocked with food and other essential items. We plan for a lot of these items to come from donations from local churches like Williston Lutheran Church and from local schools like North Quincy High School and Quincy College. We want this convenience store to be staffed with student volunteers.
Every floor will have 2 sets of washers and dryers so that residents don't have to go too far to do their laundry. All community spaces will be regularly cleaned and sanitized to ensure safety for our residents, and social distancing will be encouraged in these community spaces until every resident is vaccinated.
With over 100,000 square feet of outdoor space, our development's extensive greenery differentiates it from other affordable housing projects in the area. According to the Elder Care Alliance, seniors who spend more time outside experience less depression, anxiety, illness, muscle pain, and inflammation. Our outdoor patio will include outdoor seating and fire pits, allowing residents to share meals together outside for most of the year. In light of the COVID-19 pandemic, outdoor seating is especially important. We will also maintain a park with a walking path for residents to enjoy fresh air, walk through the beautiful gardens, and walk their dogs.
Community outreach is an extremely important aspect of our development, and we believe that the effort we've put into integrating Quincy Terrace into the surrounding Quincy community really differentiates our proposal. First, we are establishing a buddy program that Alex is going to present on the next slide. This is something we're really excited about and will help incorporate Quincy Terrace Apartments into the local community, particularly with the high schools and colleges nearby. Moreover, we're taking advantage of local volunteer programs to provide goods and services to our residents, as I just explained with the fourth floor convenience store. Moreover, as Cece explained, our service coordinator will connect residents to local health and wellness providers.
When working on the project, our team saw how important it was to the mayor of Quincy to incorporate Quincy College and the surrounding community. So in creating Quincy Terrace, we made sure to keep this in mind. To accomplish this, we prioritized working with Quincy College as well as North Quincy High School just across the street to establish our buddy program. By inviting these young adults from both schools and working with them to create our buddy program, we are creating different volunteer and learning opportunities. Our program will allow these students to spend time with and assist our residents, volunteer at our building running classes or work in the convenience store, and even take trips to different parts of Massachusetts. This volunteer program is not limited to these students, however, but is open to the Quincy community. We want to make sure everyone who needs to get involved or wants to has the opportunity to do so.
Economic community benefits. The first one we're going to talk about is increased spending power. Rent is the biggest expense for most people. When our low-income residents don't have to worry about not being able to cover their rent, they will have an increase in their spending power, which will stimulate the local Quincy economy. The second one is increased hiring. The building of our over 53,000 square foot development will require a plethora of workers to build and maintain, bringing jobs to the community. Last, we believe our building will stabilize property values. Affordable housing developments have proven to stabilize or even increase property values in the surrounding area. The increase in Quincy's property value will stimulate the real estate market and economically benefit Quincy's residents. Now I'm going to turn it over to Alex to start explaining our project financing.
So when thinking about our rent price, we really want to make sure it was affordable for everyone while also being financially sustainable on our end. Through research, we found that the average affordable housing rent in Quincy is $1,285, which is $1.84 per square foot. With this, we decided to charge $1,440 per unit, which is $1.82 per square foot for our non-rental assistance rooms. We set aside specifically 12 units for extremely low-income residents who make 30% or below the area median income, and these tenants will account for our rent-assisted rooms. For these assisted rooms, we are charging $1,924 per unit, but when subsidized, this is $672. Although our rents are slightly higher than others in the Quincy community, we believe that our amenities and the opportunities provided for our residents justify the costs.
35% of our project financing will come in the form of a permanent loan of over $7 million. Moreover, we will be taking advantage of several soft debt lenders, the Capital Improvement Preservation Fund, the Commercial Area Transit Node Housing Program, and the Federal Home Loan Bank Affordable Housing Program. Overall, soft debt comprises 18% of our total financing. Another 46% of our financing will come in the form of state and federal LIHTC equity. First, we applied $4 million of Massachusetts LIHTC equity, and then we filled in our $5.6 million financing gap with federal LIHTC equity. We have an appendix slide at the end that we can show to walk you through the LIHTC equity calculations if you'd like to see those. Lastly, we will be deferring 10% of our developer fee, amounting to around $185,000.
We have projected our cash flow over a 15-year period. Even in year one, our development has significant positive cash flow. As net operating income grows and debt service remains stable, our cash flow after debt service consistently increases and debt service coverage ratio grows from 1.21 to 1.3. This snapshot of our cash flow projections shows that we believe our development will be consistently profitable over its lifespan.
Now to get into the lessons we learned from this project. One important lesson that I learned was how important it is to emphasize the human element of a business deal. Obviously, we wanted our development to be financially sustainable, but we also realized how important it is to uniquely design our development to fit the population that we wish to serve. And that came in the form of, designing the building to accommodate handicapped seniors and also integrating it into the community, taking into account the local schools nearby. I'm going to be working in investment banking at Goldman Sachs this summer, and I think that this aspect of really emphasizing the human element will be something that I carry into my future career. Something else I learned was just the importance of leveraging my teammates' unique strengths. So I'm a junior and Cece and Alex are freshmen. So obviously we're at different points in our education, but I found that we all brought really interesting, unique perspectives to the case. In particular,
you have 1 minute remaining.
In particular, I thought Cece and Alex thought about the project very creatively. And I think most of our proposal differentiators came from their creativity.
One of the lessons I learned was how important it is to incorporate the whole community into these projects. All of the amenities we offer wouldn't be possible without the help from Quincy's local schools and churches. Volunteering has always been a big part of my life. Eva and I actually both volunteered with Alzheimer's patients, and I got to personally see the impact that these volunteers make on the people that they are serving. The structure of our amenities showed me how vital it is to have these volunteers. I was also kind of oblivious to the LIHTC program, but working with the capital structure of the development proved how affordable housing doesn't have to be a huge financial burden on the developer.
For me, this project was really eye-opening and a great learning experience. Going into it, I was undecided with my major, not really knowing what I want to study, but this experience showed me the impact finance can have on people and the community that we're applying this in. So, even a couple of weeks ago, I'm really thinking about changing my major to finance and entrepreneurship. I also see how big of an impact the affordable housing can have on the community is built in, and how important it is to incorporate the community as much as possible.
I hate to cut you off, Alexander, but I have to. That's 15 minutes.
Totally fine. Thank you.
Great.
Any
Thank
questions?
you so much to Ace Real Estate. And yes, as Alexander just said, we'll open it up now to up to 15 minutes of questions from our judges.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess I would ask, like, on the human element, can you elaborate as to how you incorporated it in your thinking of this development project?
Yeah. Yeah, you want to take it, Alex?
I could take it. Okay. Looking, really at the project as a whole, we really wanted to incorporate as many people and, groups as possible when, thinking about every aspect of the project. So an important one is the Quincy connections we have here. So that, working with Quincy College, working with North Quincy High School, and also the residents in the community, we see how important that could be and how important it is to the mayor of Quincy really to get involved. We think that this will make our community better, specifically for our residents, integrating them into the community, but also the Quincy community better, just because for diversity and incorporations, from that standpoint.
Yeah, just to jump off of that, we also thought that the connections with the community helped us from a financial standpoint. For instance, with our convenience store, we want it to be staffed with volunteers from like the local high school. I mean, North Quincy High School is just across the street, so that would be really easy to staff. And then soliciting donations from local churches in the area and local schools, we thought could also contribute to that.
So just building off that a little bit, you guys have a fairly extensive outdoor space, and it was a pretty decent chunk of your operating expense going to kind of maintenance and landscaping. How do you guys think about that versus either letting it be more wild or unmaintained?
Yeah, so I guess just to explain, like, it is extensive. We thought a lot about exactly how many square feet it would be and everything. And this just kind of like shows how we walked through it, starting with the total space of the lot and kind of subtracting everything. And in the end, so for the landscaping, I can go to that cost too. So yeah, as you saw, we took out from the 8% charge that we took for amenity services. Some of that will go to the service provider and the rest will go to landscaping. And we looked at what this source showed us that biweekly professional landscaping costs between $3,000 to $20,000. And we kind of worked with that with average of 10,000 and backed into like the maximum we could kind of support. Considering that also with snow, we might not need professional landscaping biweekly through like November and March, but we wanted to at least allot for that amount in case like we want to maintain it. And, like when we're actually making the development, we could like see later on what would be left like wild and what would be maintained. But at the very least, we wanted to budget for it in case just like, at least for like mowing and keeping it clean, because we want it to be tranquil and we want it to be a benefit to the community. And we don't just like looking into how it fits into Quincy. We also don't want local places nearby to think that it's just like this untamed area. We want it to like look really nice and fit into the community in that way.
Okay, thank you.
Like we also said in the presentation, there are a lot of health benefits that actually come from this outdoor space to seniors.
I think in the presentation you were talking about the units and allowing residents some discretion over what design features they would choose. How do you plan to manage that through the development process? Unless I misheard. And tenant turnover. Did I mishear?
No, I think you understood that correctly. So this was actually something we incorporated a little more recently. So when we talked to the expert consultant, Tara Mizrahi, she suggested that, especially with a 55 plus development, not everyone's going to want or need certain accessibility features. And like, I'm even thinking like my dad's 55. I don't think he doesn't need certain features. So we wanted it to accommodate all different sorts. Since we are 55 plus, we wanted it to also appeal to people who are on like the younger end of that. And certain features we want to be throughout, like we kind of said, like the smooth flooring, wide hallway and doors, things like that. But there are things that could either be more aesthetically pleasing by being dual purpose. Like we've seen like handrail, like towel rods that can also be handrails, or even like toilet paper holders that can also be like grip bars, things like that can be dual purpose, and then also things that can be removable. And we kind of use like this picture here for like inspiration. Like these are cabinets that could be either fixed into place or wheeled out if you need wheelchair space under counters. So we really just wanted flexibility to be the key here, so it could appeal to all different sorts of residents.
Got it.
Could you guys talk through in the cap stack the soft debt providers you chose and how you thought about their interrelationship and any constraints it placed on the development?
I was muted. Yeah, for sure. I could take that one. So we chose, as I said, like these three soft debt providers, and we rejected some sources because of certain restrictions. Like, for example, I think like the Mass House Workforce Housing was for residents between 60 and 120% of AMI, so that was a restriction we didn't want to have. But ultimately, we just wanted to overall limit the number, so we didn't want to be juggling like 6 different soft debt lenders, but we also wanted to have enough that we could use their expertise. So we also chose some because of that, like the Federal Home Loan Bank Affordable Housing Program specifically identifies senior housing as an eligible use. And we thought since they're specifically thinking about that, they could bring unique perspectives on senior housing, and we could use them as a resource when designing our building, particularly for accessibility. And we also, all of the ones we chose also didn't limit us based on like the income level. So because we are offering 20% to extremely low income, we met certain ones. Like I think, this one has 20% of residents must earn below 50% AMI, and that was met with our 20% are extremely low income. So these ones fit our income unit mix, and they also provided the capital we needed. So ultimately, we could have chosen more, but we didn't want to overcomplicate our financing. I hope that answers it.
Yeah, great, thank you. Could you walk us through the LIHTC equity calculations? I see you have an appendix there, so that's perfect.
Yep. So Alex, you can jump in wherever, but I can just like take it to start. So to get the initial LIHTC basis, we factored in the acquisition costs, and all we had there was the $10,000 master planning costs, and construction costs, all the soft costs except for marketing and contingencies. And I think on our Excel, we kind of link resources where we determine what is included and excluded. And then we only included construction loan for the financing cost, and we included the developer fee into the basis as well. So that's how we got there. And then we applied a 130% basis boost since, as you can see, we're in a difficult to development area. And that's how we got to eligible basis. And since 100% of our residents are going to be earning 60% or less of AMI, we applied 100% fraction. That's how we got qualified basis. We applied the 9% for federal LIHTC, 4% for state LIHTC that was given in the case to get the annual credit maximum possible. 10 years for, these numbers were all provided in the case, and that's how we multiplied this by this by this by this to get that maximum possible LIHTC equity. And we started with the state, applied all 4 million of this, and then we used this to fill in the gaps. We had more we could have used, but we ended up only using around 5.6 million.
Just to check in, we have a few more minutes from Fran, Sasha, and Michael. Are there any further questions for this team?
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good too.
Okay, great. Well, we'll say thank you to Ace Real Estate. What's going to happen next is I'm going to ask our judges to step into our judges deliberation Zoom, which will take them out of this meeting. Team Ace, you are free to either stay or go right now into this in this meeting. We're asking teams to come back at 12:40. In the meantime, for those who are following along at home, I'm going to start a video right now that's compiled from our Office of University Communications, some background on Boston College, just to fill the time while our judges deliberate, and we'll be back as soon as possible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great, and judges, I'll join you in a moment in the deliberation.
The Jesuit mission, I think, really kind of drives our focus on the students. We're very student-centric business school, not centered on all sorts of outside things, but focus on those students and their development over 4 years. Our walls of the Carroll School are permeable. They take great business courses, they understand and learn about management, but at the same time, they're moving back and forth from the terrific undergraduate core curriculum, from their own minors and majors in the liberal arts, so that we create students that are broader, more interesting, more curious about the world, and not just narrow management types. I think one thing that's gone astray with management education and perhaps leadership in the US is we create narrow band, kind of I-shaped thinkers about management. We want to create T-shaped professionals, those who are broad, curious, and have an understanding of the world and the humanities so they can ask the big questions throughout their career. Our faculty, I think, is unparalleled in two dimensions if you can combine these two dimensions. One is teaching. We have great teachers throughout the business school, and they're great teachers at the undergraduate level and great teachers at the graduate level. And the same faculty teach both. The other element in which they're great is their research. They are some of the world's best scholars. It's those two elements being integrated with the entire set of Boston College that makes us distinctive. I think being in Boston has some great advantages. Well, one is we're tied to some of the most exciting, innovative firms in the world. I mean, Boston is clearly a creative hub. Those firms hire our students for internships, those firms hire our students for their first jobs, and those firms are right at BC's doorstep. The other advantage of being in Boston is it's great, it's fun. I mean, you're right near Fenway Park, you have other universities. BC is a uniquely located university. This great kind of quiet, beautiful campus located in one of the most exciting cities in the world. We want to create students who are broader, more imaginative, curious for life, great learners, understand what it is to have men and women for others, and not just narrow management or business technical experts. So that's what makes us distinct, is the breadth, the broadening of students, and encouraging them to pursue their passions in the liberal arts while they pursue their passions in the School of Management.
All right. So first of all, I'd like to just say thank you very much. Pardon me one moment. Thank you very much to our judges. I know, as I said to them, I certainly don't envy them. They had to make some tough decisions right now. So with that, I will ask the judges if they're ready to announce their decision.
Yes, we are, and I got nominated to come and convey what we thought were 3 amazing presentations. We want to congratulate everyone for having gotten to this round. We were incredibly impressed. I think all of us can agree none of us would be able to deliver this sort of work product as undergraduates. And personally, I don't think I can do it now. So thank you guys. This was phenomenal. We really enjoyed seeing all the presentations, seeing the enthusiasm you guys all brought. We thought it was a wonderful case, and it was amazing also to see the differences you all brought to the case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it in kind of reverse order, third to first, and we'll give you a little bit of thought around each of them. Like I said, I think this was, you saw how long we were sitting in the deliberation room. We had incredibly detailed discussions. Again, this is very difficult. We unfortunately have to choose a winner, and we unfortunately have to rank this. So in third, we have Stonehill Capital. We thought you guys were really thoughtful in thinking about the cohort, the 55 plus. You know, we really love the Juliet balcony idea that you guys were bringing across, showing the needs of the residents. We also were really impressed with the professionalism of your presentation. You had the largest group of anyone out there, and having that kind of larger group dynamic can be very difficult to manage. We thought you guys did a really nice job of making sure you were transitioning, understanding who could answer questions. And then the final thing we'll say is Michael Brown said he wants to live at the Lofts on Hancock Street. He loved the name of it. So kudos to you on that one. But again, thank you guys. We thought it was a tremendous presentation. In second place, we have CHG Development. We love the fact that you guys brought the rooftop gardens, and we're thinking about, how do you kind of build something in this kind of pandemic? We really like the thinking outside the box, talking about prefab construction and how you're going to kind of incorporate that in your design. Your presentation skills were top notch. You guys are going to go really far in what you do. I think you really kind of were able to deliver a very strong presentation, which showed really strong command of the materials. And obviously that leaves congratulations to the team at ACE for being first place on this one. We really thought that you demonstrated a real understanding and response to the needs of the community and the residents. And that was the level of detail you brought throughout the presentation, and how you brought the community into every part of your presentation and the development design, we really thought was just a home run. And we thought that helped us kind of give you guys kind of the win. We love the enthusiasm you brought to it. We love the fact that this has sparked your interest in this as a future. And that was a great little anecdote there at the end. And again, like I said, this was an incredibly difficult decision across all of them. There were 3 phenomenal presentations, but again, congratulations to the team at ACE. We really appreciated your proposal, and hopefully it gets built. So with that, Taylor, I'll turn it back to you.
Great, thank you so much, and congratulations to all 3 teams. I will say briefly, we've conducted our first round judging anonymously, and our second round blinded by schools. I will just briefly unblind that Stonehill is joining us from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and CHG and ACE Real Estate are joining us from here at Boston College. So again, congratulations to our winners, ACE, and to all teams. And I really, we've been very impressed with everyone. And on behalf of Boston College, congratulations to you. And really one more big thank you to everyone who helps make this case competition possible. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.